And hello, everybody. Hi there. My name's Audra Santa. I'm here with the Gord Downie and Chani Winjack Fund, and we are going live. We've now changed our live artist ambassador sessions to Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and soon we'll also be adding them in on LinkedIn. But right now, we've been doing these Instagram sessions for a while, and now moving over to these platforms means that we can reach a few more people. So if you're watching, let us know where you're from. Post a comment in the box. I'll be able to see that as well. So the Gord Downie and Chani Winjack Fund, our focus, of course, is to help move conversations forward that help us to develop better awareness, education, and connection with all people in Canada, and to understand the true history of residential schools, and the way that that actually impacts Indigenous communities and the legacy that it's left, and then how we can move forward together in a good way. Our Artist Ambassador program is part of the Legacy Schools program. Our Legacy Schools, we have over 1,500 schools across Canada in every province and territory, and we provide those schools with free resources, including copies of Secret Path, vetted resources from educators all over the country, and a reconciliation guide to inspire people to engage in their own reconciliations in the community. As part of that, we also have our Artist Ambassador program, thanks to RBC Future Launch. With Artist Ambassadors, we go into schools, we have conversations where the artists share music, stories, and they can have great conversations with the students there to help develop that better understanding, the appreciation of the arts, and the ability for the arts to tell these stories, and hopefully to inspire people to do more on their own as well. Today, we have Sara Cornthwaite. And Sara is an incredible content creator. She's been all over the world traveling and doing her videos, and wait till you get to see all the stuff that she's going to share with us today. She's also going to teach us a bit about how we can create our own content at home. So using editing tools and software. And of course, you know, we all have one of these. So if you're tuning in, do feel free to add in a comment or question for Sara, and we would love to connect with you. All right, so I'm going to add Sara in now. Let's see if this works. Hello.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too. How are things?
Great. Yeah, really good. It's a beautiful Friday. I am indoors as per usual, but it's it's gorgeous out there, it looks like.
It's a beautiful day for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're so grateful to have you on today. Thank you.
I'm so very excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, awesome. So have I. And we had a great chat yesterday where I just got to know you a little bit, and you were able to tell me a bit of what you have in store today. So really excited to see some of what you've created. And because we're using this new platform, we'll be able to share your screen so everybody can see your videos as well.
That's so true. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Do you want to begin just by telling us a little bit about yourself, about how you got into video?
I would love to. So, as she's already mentioned, I'm Sara Cornthwaite. I'm from Nipissing First Nation in Northern Ontario. I grew up in North Bay, and then I studied film and videography in Ottawa, and then I very quickly moved to Toronto with an internship for work. So I've been working for about 10 years now in the field. I'm kind of a unique duck in the field. I do a lot of different things. Sometimes I'm filming, sometimes I'm photographing. I do a lot of editing. I dabble in animating and voiceover work. Essentially, the digital world has changed a lot in the last 10 years and enabled us to do a lot of different things, just kind of using the resources around us. So clients often come to me when they're looking for a story, and I kind of help them bring that from A to Z all together in one project, helping them to do all of the assets, from the audio to the filming to the photos to whatever kind of production needs they're needing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And like, so, I mean, you've been doing this, well, for a while, and it's taken you all over the world. Like, what are some of the places you've been?
Yeah, so when I first started, I was working with an organization that's based out of here in Toronto, but they work around the world. And essentially, through them, I had the opportunity to frequent a handful of countries that I'm really grateful to have had the opportunity to travel to. But I spent a lot of time in Kenya and East Africa, a few trips to India and Ghana and Ecuador and South America, and kind of all over North America too, telling all these different stories. But some of those international trips are some of my favorite trips that I've ever had the opportunity to go on. And through these trips, when we're on these trips, what we're doing is storytelling. So we're working with the communities, the local communities there, and we're telling stories of empowerment. So that's something I've always really, really enjoyed, because when I get to go on these trips, I spend time with these community members, one-on-one time, sometimes with a small crew, and we get to talk to them and ask them questions and hear honest answers. And it's really beautiful. And then when you get to take that footage and that content and make a story out of it, it's just a really good feeling, and it makes for some really great content too.
That's beautiful. And how did you find out about the Gord Downey and Chani Wenjack Fund? And because you were somehow connected to us, I think, through Gord.
Yeah, so I believe it was in 2016. So one of the things I do often is event photography. And I was doing event photography for a handful of shows. And again, at a We Day specifically, Gord was doing his Secret Path there. So on that show that he was doing, I was a photographer. And my job was to run around backstage and kind of shoot different moments, but also to shoot on stage. So I printed some photos, but I got to see one of his performances. Is that lined up?
Wow. Here, let me make that full screen. We're going to test the full screen function. Let's see if it works.
Screen function. So I was so grateful for this opportunity. I think.
Oh, it might not work. Never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was just such a beautiful moment. And I remember when this moment in particular had happened, I was actually backstage. And you kind of hear when the performances are about to come on, and you could hear the music switch. And I just remember kind of realizing what it was. And not just me, but myself and a lot of the people around me, we all ran to the stage because we just knew how special this moment was. That's just another photo I have.
Wow.
A little bit off. But yeah, it was just a really, really beautiful moment. And then I had the opportunity to see him again. And then this one was at We Day Canada on Parliament Hill. That's him and Justin.
Oh, yeah.
That was just really beautiful, because at that time he wasn't performing, but he still showed up, and he spoke, and it was just really beautiful. And that was my first time understanding his mission, and understanding Chani's story, and understanding and seeing a little bit of the visuals on stage, and really grasping the conversation he was pushing. And since then, I've been hyper aware of the fund and what you guys are up to. And I'm, again, just bringing it full circle to this moment. I'm really grateful to be sitting here.
Oh, we are so very grateful to have you. And yeah, I love hearing the stories of how people first connect. And there are a lot of course, a lot of Gord fans where they learn Chani Wenjack's story and the true history of residential schools for the very first time through Gord's songs. So yeah, how beautiful. Really, really good.
It's very powerful. It's a very powerful way to push that narrative and to share it on a more wider audience, to share it to a wider audience. And yeah, it's just really beautiful.
That is so amazing. Great. Yeah. And in terms of, so, I mean, you've done photography for a while, and then did you move into video, or how did that happen?
Actually, it's kind of interesting story. It started with both when I was in high school, but by no means professional. I just loved it. So I filmed and photographed all the time. And that ranged from like family meetings and dinners, like I would photograph, or with friends. I used to make my friends do all kinds of videos, and it kind of stemmed there. But when I went to school, it was specifically for video. So I learned the ins and outs of the broadcast world, and just what it means to be a videographer or a documentary maker. And then from there, I jumped into Toronto doing full-time video work. So for a long time, I kind of forgot the photographer portion of me. Right. And I kind of started to build my own stigma around the world. I kind of used to say, oh, I just do video. I'm a cinematographer. I'm not a photographer. I would kind of bar that conversation. But in time, people started calling me a photographer and calling me to photography jobs. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, if the world sees me as a photographer, then maybe I am. And then I just started flexing that muscle and gaining confidence and saying it out loud. And then it's just kind of spiraled. And now I feel very confident. I take photos and I do video for a living, and I'm very happy about it.
Great. Is there a piece of work you'd like to share with us? I'd love to see a video or photo. What I can do is I will give you control over the screen, and you'll be able to share your screen. Awesome. I think.
Awesome.
Let's see. I have Sarah's screen here, so I'm going to add to stream. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's okay. So
There it is.
I have a few different videos lined up, and I've pulled just some short ones.
Mhm.
The first one that I've done, or that I've pulled, is actually, it's only a minute long. And all of this footage is from 1 year entirely. It's not a demo reel. It's just something I did for fun. It's only 50 seconds. And it's just 1 year. It was 2017. It was just a handful of clips from that year. So I figured if I pulled this, it might just give context to the type of things that I photograph and film. And then I have more videos after that. But let
Sounds
me see
great.
what happens when I play this. Hopefully audio is good to go. And let's see. So that was the 50 seconds.
So good. Thank you. I'm just checking our live stream on Facebook on my phone to see how that video is working there. But that looked great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it might have been let us know in the comments if that video came across okay. This is the very first time we're trying this platform, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So many places there. What are some of? I mean, I saw different people, of course, but where was Kenya in that one as well? And
yeah, so this video was just a few different pieces. I used to make these videos always around New Year's and the new year, just to kind of have a year in review and look back. So
Yep.
this was a busy year. A lot of this content is from Kenya. I think I had a few trips. This is from a different show. This is from We Day shows again. Kenya, that's Colombia. We have some Ecuador content. I got to film some of my friends' weddings that year, some more Kenya content. I was a Hawaii clip. Basically, yeah, a lot of different places in that 1 year. That was a really busy year. But the song is my favorite part. The song is from a woman called Naitalala, and she's a mama in Kenya. And we were beading one day, and beading is a really cool, beautiful activity. It's actually so very similar to the beadwork that we see here at home, which is really cool. But we were beading, and we were out in the Mara, and when they're kind of like, if you listen to the song again, you can even hear her beads as she's kind of putting them onto her needle.
Oh.
But then she was just singing a song to herself, and I couldn't help it but just ask if it was okay to record it, so I did. And she said yes, and she's in this clip somewhere. I'm not sure. Oh yes, that's Naitalala right there, the first woman. We were beading, so it was just a really beautiful moment. I try to bring a lot of natural elements in if I can, just because I think when you can add that capacity of sound, it just adds so much more feelings. It gives you feels, as opposed to this just being kind of a random song underneath and not having the sound that resonates with the footage. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I feel I'm going to put us back to our us there. You know, I find it really interesting too, because in terms of, oh, hey, all the buttons. I will trust you to be the filmmaker. I don't know what I'm doing over here, but that's really interesting as well. Like from as an Indigenous filmmaker, and also coming from the perspective of knowing like how to tell story in community. I mean, we even touched yesterday on the fact like there's a lot of us creating videos, there's a lot of us telling our own stories, and sometimes we'll bring in elements that are outside of our story that can help enhance that narrative or enhance that the way what we're trying to communicate. But actually really like connecting with the song and the feeling of the land and the people seems to be something that I saw in some of the other videos that you sent me as well.
Yeah. It's something that I think I picked up along the way, kind of as a trick. But at the same time, it also ends up being one of the most asked for things from my clients, even if they're not really articulating that. For example, I've been doing a lot of work just at home in my own communities, and almost every edit I send through, we kind of have to sit there and go, okay, now what drum song can we get underneath this? Like, who do we have in the community, or did we record any of the drums songs during the presentation, or what might we be able to use? It definitely adds to the emotion and feeling and identity of the videos.
Yeah.
So we,
Wow.
mhm.
That's so beautiful. So tell me a bit more. You were talking about as people calling you a photographer, but you didn't feel you were a photographer, or getting into video and being confident enough, like, for people to pay you to do the work you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like starting? Because the part of what we do, even with RBC Future Launch, a big part of the Artist Ambassador program and what the mission of RBC Future Launch is, who funds the program, is around employability. They actually want to encourage young people to develop more skills that will support them to step into the workplace. And one of those skills is around confidence and around believing that you can do what you can do and stepping out. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, lots of thoughts. Um, I Confidence takes a long time to really work on, and it's a muscle that you have to keep flexing and keep building at. But I don't think you'll. I think the number one thing is to just begin trying, and continuing from that. Because if you never start in the first place, yes, your first one is going to need improvements, and your second one, and even videos I'm doing present day, need some other expert eyes, sometimes even just fresh eyes to look at and rework for me. And confidence is just continuing and pushing and just not giving up on something that you love doing, and just putting your all into it until you can kind of show what you were trying to get across through your work. So I know that for me personally, confidence took a long time to build, and it takes great leadership, and it takes a
Mhm.
good community, and having allies who can support you in the industry are super important, but also just trusting your gut. I know that I don't think I'm the most technical person. I definitely have to know tech to do my job. But it gets to a certain point where I think I'm a lot more creative than anything else. And I think that that creativity is kind of what's pushed me and what's kept me present in a lot of my client inboxes. It's looking at video files from 10 different types of cameras, or looking at audio sources that are mucky and not recorded the best, and kind of looking at all the tools that you have and bringing that creative eye and assessing, okay, well, how can we still clean this up? How can we make this look good? If we don't have access to any more interviews, what other options can we do? Could we maybe add some text on screen? If I can't access that person in real life, could I phone call them? If I can't phone call them, could they write me a letter? Could I just get a, like, there's so many ways to kind of be creative through it. And I think that the confidence comes over time and just being persistent in whatever it is you love doing. And it's honestly, it's like the weirdest flip that happens. I remember it's a weird flip, and all of a sudden it's your community coming back to you saying, oh, he's an architect, or he's a musician, or she's a star, or whatever it might be. It comes back to you, and that was what happened for me when people started calling me the photographer, or me the videographer, or yeah, it's just a little bit of time, and then really I'm scared every time I do a shoot, and that's present day even, but you have to be scared, to ensure you're going to do a good job with it. So it's all relative, but you just keep pushing and mostly believe in yourself and creativity, because so many people are going to kind of tell you, no, that's not a good idea. That's not going to work. You have to
Mhm.
believe in yourself, and just believe in yourself until your vision comes out, whatever facet that might be, if you're an artist or videographer, photographer, whichever, writer.
Yeah, not diluting that vision with everybody else's opinion, right?
And one of those little quotes that really stuck with me was just, don't dim your light. Don't let anyone dim your light, and just keep shining for you and only for you. And the right people that need to be around your light will come to it. And the people that
Yeah,
need your light, that's okay. You don't,
yeah.
and yeah, it's just believing in yourself. Be kind, be courteous, be creative, be fearless, my mom always says.
Speaking of your mom, Scott said something about a rock star mom.
Oh, my mom. I have a
Thanks for the tip, Scott. I was not aware. So
oh,
yeah.
is that in a comment?
Yeah, Scott said that in a comment. He said something, oh, I might be able to show it. And
Ah,
a rock star mom
so
helps.
that's my rock star uncle.
Oh, hey, hey, Uncle Scott. How's it going?
It's so nice of you to be joining. Uncle Scott is a rock star, but so is my mom, and so is my whole family. I have a really big, crazy McLeod family. There was 8 siblings, and they're all unique in their own way and so much fun. And there's so many grandkids, and yeah, they're all doing such cool things. I don't even begin to compare. We have some of my cousins are working on language in our communities, and other cousins are studying law and indigenous law and just doing such cool, amazing things. And we have beaters and makers and shakers, and yeah, it's really awesome. But my mom is special. I'm not sure if she's watching or not, but she's made me who I am. She's the person who's given me the optimism. I'm ridiculously optimistic almost all the time, and that's her doing. So thank you, Mama.
Aw, thanks, Mom. I also have another comment here. See if this comes up. Roseanne said reward systems are great for boosting confidence.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Finding ways. And I think platforms like this too are cool for boosting confidence. Like even for myself to be asked to be on here, that's a good thing. And when you guys are doing your programs with youth too and sharing their content, I always feel that like having the opportunity to have your voice heard is one of the best things. So even if it's on platforms or through you guys, I think, yeah, opportunities, that is a reward, being able to be featured or have your work featured or your story heard.
Yeah. And then also, I think presenting that reward to yourself. I think, especially as creatives, and I know a lot of young people, but older people too, all of us, we can be very hard on ourselves. And in this time, we can be very hard on ourselves because life is not what we would normally expect it to be. We are not able to do the things that we normally do or see the people we normally see. And I know people's mental health might not be in the best place, and we can be so hard on ourselves. So I really feel as well like having those reward systems or a way of boosting your confidence intrinsically can be really helpful because, especially as a creative, when you first start what you're doing, like you said, there's going to be some people that are the naysayers or saying, oh, that's actually not that good, but believing in your vision and supporting the fact that you actually did it,
Mhm.
that you're out there and you have the courage to reach out and try.
Yep. Being comfortable and creating that space and
Yeah.
and the reward too of taking a chance and being vulnerable and discovering that so many other people are resonating with you or your story or what you're saying. It's important. It's really important. And it does a lot. It does a lot for yourself, for the people who are connecting with that, with your story or whichever it is you're sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. I remember when I first started doing some of my own music, I was working for the Ontario Native Women's Association in Thunder Bay, and I moved down to Toronto because I wanted to pursue music. And somebody there said to me, well, I really hope that you're successful in your music career and you sell a lot of CDs and everybody goes to your shows. And I said, well, that's great. Thank you so much. I really hope that happens too, but I'm actually going to measure success a bit differently. Success to me is doing it. If I actually go out there and I play the show, no matter who's there or not, I've done it. If I actually create my music video or record my song, then I'm successful because a lot of those other things we can't have our own influence on right away.
I can't enough for that. I
Yeah.
think sorry, I've got a bit of feedback. Maybe it's just my mic. Um, to your exact same point, same with stories. I don't. It doesn't matter if not that many people saw a video or saw something I was working on. If somebody who did watch it was able to have a perspective shift or learn something that they didn't, or maybe have a new sense of empathy for a story they might not have understood before, mission accomplished. You can't do it all at once, so it's just about making those community connections, and whether that's online or just a handful of people, connection is a connection, and the perspective shift is a perspective shift. So
That's right.
mhm.
That's right. Is there something else you'd like to show us? I feel like the stream was a little challenging, but let's try another video. And what I'm going to do is take you and I out of it and just project the video to the screen, and let's see if that works a little better.
Okay, so we can try one. Let me just see. So I want to share one about water, and I'll just give a bit of context to it. So again, going back to just feeling, for a long time, I kind of thought like, wow, I do a lot of filming, I tell a lot of stories. I think it's important that I be telling stories closer to home, and I'm not sure what they are, and it's just kind of using the people in my community and around, but I'm sure there's stories there that need to be told, so I should start. So around World Water Day a few years ago, I had reached out to one of my uncles and I asked if he knew anyone who could speak about water. And he recommended a friend of his named Dawn Manachwabi, and she so wonderfully came out and sat with me on on some land that my family grew up on, my uncles and aunts, my Mishomis's land, my grandfather's land. And she gave some teachings about water, and she did it on camera for me. And then I decided to kind of take that clip, condense it into a minute, because at the time that's all that Instagram allowed was that minute space. And then I just piled as much water footage as I had onto it. So the water footage is from all around the world. It's just different trips, but the narrative is all from Nipissing First Nation. And we can see if it'll play. This one, yeah, we'll see. If it's lagging, it's just a minute. We can try
It's okay. We'll try it, and I'm going to put it to full screen, and we'll see if that works a little better.
I think that perhaps if the footage isn't catching up as much, this one, it's the story that's a little bit more important.
When we look at those words that, water is life, we look at how precious our life is, and if we want our life to continue on Mother the Earth, then we need to take care of it. And we haven't been. The one message that you hear out there loud and clear is that water is life. And there's a sacredness about that. There's a power that the waters carry. We have to look at the earth as our mother. That's who she is. Always giving that message to our lakes and to our rivers and to our oceans that we love you and that we respect you.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that was just a really simple video, but it meant a lot to me, and I was so grateful to have the opportunity for Dawn to speak to me that cold day, that cold spring day a few years back. But I think more important, just through the visuals and through including the song that she sang underneath of it as well, that was a water song, and through her interviews, you put the puzzle pieces together, and then all of a sudden you get this little teaching. And it's beautiful. And I just loved how she could articulate the water and the importance of it in a way that I wasn't seeing in a lot of other write-ups during the time of World Water Day. And I just think it's such an important perspective. And through such a simple 1-minute video, you gain those insights and you gain just a little bit deeper of an understanding. And eternal gratitude for the people who are willing to sit with me and share stories or share their knowledge and kind of let me craft these little videos. So
Beautiful. Now, if someone's wanting to, that was a minute long. You were able to share it on Instagram at such an important time like World Water Day. And, it sounds like that wasn't, well, it's easy for me to say, but it looks like it wasn't too hard, and that you already had a bunch of water clips that you had just shot yourself. And then you found this one narrative clip to kind of put the voiceover through it and incorporate that. So is that something people can do on their own? Like we talked about the possibility of creating content during this time.
100%. I think, as you had mentioned, it was quite easy. It was just about getting the assets, making sure I had them, and then the edit for me on this, especially because it was something I was really looking forward to creating, I zoomed through in the edit. So to your point, yeah, absolutely. I think that even if we are all staying at home right now and being responsible, you can still be creating this content, and you can do it in so many creative ways, whether you have a laptop, an iPad, a phone, something to record on, and then maybe you only have access to your backyard, maybe you only have access to what's inside your house. You can think about, well, what kind of things could I be filming here? For example, say that I wanted to do this video again, and maybe I can call on the phone somebody who has a story and first record that. And then from there, you figure out what you would want to do for your footage. And if I have no access to water footage, maybe I could paint some water footage and film myself painting water waves, or maybe I could draw it, or maybe I can fill up a bucket with water and kind of get some slow motion, you know, bits of water just kind of splashing around. It's just how you're looking at it creatively. People don't need to know that it's a bucket and you're kind of pouring, like, you can just play with different ways to make this content. And regardless of your story, even if you don't have assets within your home, there's so many free tools online, and you can be Googling free images of water to use or free images of whichever it is you might be searching. But I think 100%, there's so many ways to be crafty. I think, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with confidence, I think that a lot of people think that you have to be at a certain skill level or have a certain title paired with who you are in order to achieve this content or do these types of things. But that's not true at all. Some content I've seen from young people, it's better than mine by so far. And they're just like, yeah, I just wanted to try this video. And it's just like, that's what you make when you're just trying. It's just about being creative and just finding your underlying story. And whatever that is, we could cut something from this right here and put some footage over top and create something really nice, just even from simple FaceTimes. Or it's kind
Well,
of
I've even seen like what people are doing on TikTok is crazy.
TikTok is blowing me away. It is so funny how many things we studied and worked on when I was in school and kind of getting ready to, and tricks with cameras that we were trying to do with big cameras and projects. And then now, like, all of a sudden, you can do all these things from TikTok and an app. Like, it's just so funny how technology is getting so, so fast, and you don't need the big tools anymore. Yes, big tools are helpful for movies and the big sets and such, but for everyone right now, you can be using the TikTok. And a point I'd like to make right now, and I know we had talked about this yesterday too, but your favorite networks, your favorite ambassadors, athletes, artists, it doesn't matter who they are. Everyone right now is using Instagram Live. We all have an even playing field of tools that we're accessible to. And like, even, you know, the Ellen show is on Instagram, and all of these things. It's never been so easy for you to be making your own content at home, assuming that you've got internet connection and a cell service. But if not, too, there's options there. Maybe libraries, or maybe a neighbor. Not the neighbor right now. Stay home.
Maybe not the neighbor.
You could always pre-record and release it later. Lots and lots of things. But TikTok is amazing and so much fun too.
There's been some really amazing Indigenous content on TikTok. Like, have you seen the Pass the Brush? They'll have a makeup brush. One person, well, I don't have a brush here, but wait, where's my camera? There. And then switch it away, and she'll be dressed in full regalia.
I think it's amazing.
It's just so beautiful.
Those videos have been awesome. I'm not even on Twitter that often, but that's one that I've been retweeting. It's beautiful. It's so stunning. And that's such a simple transition, just screen to black. You make your cut and then you bring it back. Could be anywhere. You could do that same concept in getting changed or in switching locations and switching your person. You can be so creative with it.
It's amazing. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your community, because I know you have this very special video from home.
Yes.
And it'd be great to share that as we at the very end of this. But tell me first about that.
Yeah. So one of the first videos I ever did was at our 18th annual powwow. I forget. It was a few years ago. It was in 2016. But I remember that I had asked the powwow team that year if it was okay if I took some photos and videos. And they kind of gave me my instructions, but told me it was okay. So I had gotten some footage. And then that same weekend, because a lot of family gathers, I had another one of my uncles, who had a song that he had just created, and it was his version of "O Canada." And he had written it, and I had heard him sing it before and thought it was beautiful. And I had asked him if we could film it on the rocks by my home. So he said yes. And we had a very simple camera set up, and we brought it down and filmed him singing his song. I also filmed my other cousin and my other uncle too. They each have some edits from that. But for my Uncle Keith's song, he did his "O Canada" song. And I remember when I went to cut it, it was just the footage of him singing, and it was really beautiful, but I had all of this beautiful powwow dancer footage. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if I pair them together, what that would look like. But then in my own head, I was like, well, it's not my footage. I haven't asked the individuals. Maybe if I can just get footage more so of hands and feet dancing. Needless to say, I was a little nervous, but I was like, I think it'll be really beautiful. And I think if I can show it first, maybe people will be okay with the edit. So I put the edit together and I posted it online, and I was nervous and I just kind of started waiting. And then I just remembered that video started to get all kinds of likes and then all kinds of shares. And then people from my community were commenting on it saying, my people, my pride. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, like, it's beautiful. I think it's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful that other people were seeing themselves reflected in the video and seeing Nipissing and seeing our community, and just like that aha moment of being like, wow, that's empowerment. That's a real tangible form of empowerment. And I wasn't expecting it, but I just remember being like, oh, that's so cool. Since then, I know my uncle sings it all over. He was supposed to be singing it this year for Little NHL at the opening ceremonies, which would have been awesome, but maybe next year. But anyway, so I have that video. It is a longer video because it's his full song, so I think it's closer to 4 minutes. But it's, yeah, I have it. I can play it. I don't know if you wanted to wrap up with that and play that at the end, or...
We'll start to wrap up. We'll come back right at the very end of the video, just in case there's any comments that come up. So if you have anything to say during the video and you want to comment, we'll come back and address those comments. But Sara, it's been amazing talking to you. Sara Cornthwaite is an incredible content creator from Nipissing First Nation and has been doing work all over the world and has given us time as part of the Artist Ambassador program to tell us a little bit about creating our own content here. So if you're just tuning in now, this broadcast will be saved on our story or on our page. And you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope. All right, Sara, so let's take it away with your video here.
Okay, over. And I just wanted to say a big chimigwech to all of Nipissing for allowing me to have the camera at the powwow. I know a lot of people are starting to see me around with the camera a lot, and I'm just so grateful to be allowed to be capturing content. So, and this is my Uncle Keith. By the way, this is my mom's twin. I'll have a little post.
Up in Canada, where the tall trees grow, make a living on the silent soul. Great diesel monsters with arms so strong, leave the scars of man that stay so long. They're a place for you, running high. I stand on I'm in Canada where the pine trees grow. Live domesticated, row on row. Hands of progress divide the land. Say it makes people better man. Got no place to run and hide. Here's a chance for you to show your pride. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. I'll stand on got no place to run and hide. This is a time for you to show your pride. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. I'll stand on guard for thee.
Gorgeous. Look at that last shot. Wow.
That last shot is Jocko Point. That's from my aunt's property. That's one of my favorite places.
Wow. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you. Sarah's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me share.
If anyone wants to check out Sarah's amazing videos, and if the videos were a bit choppy during this broadcast, they can go to your website to see it, or Vimeo.
Yeah, websites, Vimeo, they're all there. I post them. I reshare them all the time too. So my Instagrams and stuff.
Okay, what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is SaraACorn.
On Instagram and Facebook, or anywhere else people can find you?
Yep, they're all there.
And so I'm just going to put it here in the comments. I hope I spelled that right. Cornthwaite.
Yeah, I have a famous name. Often, if you just type Sara Cornthwaite, you'll find the things. I think there's two other Sara Cornthwaites out there. They spell their name with an H. So
perfect. Oops. And I made it with an H. Sara.
Hey, you know what?
No H.
That's funny.
Typing and talking, it's just too much. I can't do it. I can't do it. All right. Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk with me today. I hope you have a wonderful long weekend and that it feels like a weekend. We had a couple of people say, oh, stay safe and remember to take care of yourself during this time. So thank you.
Good tips.
And if anyone creates any videos and you'd like to share or tag us, we would love to see them. So please do that, and we'll also pass it on to Sara.
Awesome. I would love to see anything that you have or any questions about video. Never feel shy to ask. it's always worth an ask.
Sounds great. All right, Sarah, have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.